Hello, Ms. Gross. Good afternoon. My name is Hanani Vasquez. I want to thank you for giving me the time for this interview
Of course.
for my ethical class. And this subject is in regards to what do we think about patient relationship and professional relationships. I have a couple of questions for you. And I'm going to start with asking you, what is your educational background?
Okay, well, I went to college to get a degree in chemistry because I wanted to be a doctor. That was my original goal. Things happened. I met my husband instead and got married and did not go to medical school, but I did still want to work in the medical field. So I got a second degree in medical technology, which is working in the laboratory with patient samples. And I was able to have 2 degrees. I have 2 bachelor's degrees.
Oh, awesome. Okay, that goes on to the next question. And that question would be, what jobs have you held and why did you change if you went through different jobs?
Okay. Well, my first job was whenever I was actually in school for medical technology. They put me in for clinical rotations, and they pulled me to work in the secretarial office at the laboratory.
Okay.
So I was there all day because I was half the time as a student and half the time working. And then they hired me as soon as I got my degree, and I worked there in the laboratory for 3.5 years. And then I actually was a stay-at-home mom for 5 years, and then I wanted to go do something else, and my mom told me, my mom's a teacher, and she's like, you can teach this medical stuff. And I said, I don't know, I got scared, but I did it anyway and got my degree in teaching as well, my certificate in teaching, and was able to come here and teach, and I've been here for 10 years. This is my 10th year teaching health science.
So you mentioned that you have worked in the lab, right? That you were doing clerical, but you also worked in the lab.
With patients and
with patients. So how important do you think is having a patient in a professional level, patient relationship?
I believe it's very important to be a professional with your patients. Not only does that give them the confidence in you to act, if you act professional and you are professional with them, they feel more comfortable with the things that you know. You also, on the other hand, have to empathize with them, and so you can joke around with them and make them feel comfortable, but that can also be considered professional when you're working with a patient, I believe.
I think it really helps where they allow you to do the task or draw the lab, draw the blood.
Definitely. Make them feel comfortable.
Yes, make them feel comfortable. That's patient relationships. So what do you think about professional relationships?
Like working with colleagues,
Yes.
I believe that it's important to work with colleagues on a professional level to be part of a team. I mean, anything, especially in healthcare or teaching or any job that I've ever had, is teamwork. You can't do anything by yourself. Even the most knowledgeable surgeon cannot do it by themselves. They have to have teams. So that's part of being having colleagues and having that professional relationship. And I think being a professional also, if you act professional in your job, it gives your coworkers that confidence in you that you can do what you've been told to do. If someone asks you, hey, I need you to do this, they know they can count on you to do those kinds of things, whatever it is that they ask you to do.
Great. So since you're working closely with other colleagues, how do you feel about socializing outside of the workplace?
Well, kind of the same thing. I believe that being social with your colleagues is kind of essential in a way. You don't have to, but I do think it makes your relationship stronger. You get to know about them, their families. It makes you want to be that stronger team, to know about them and to see them outside of the workplace, how they are or how they act with when kind of their guard is down. I do believe that it makes you stronger when you're at work. That's why a lot of companies do have team building activities, and they bring your family picnics and things like that. And I do believe it's because it makes you stronger as a person. You realize that your coworkers are not just there to be this machine. They are people and humans and have that relationship.
I totally agree with you in that, and I know that not all the jobs are perfect, and not everybody has different characters and personalities. I am sure that at some point in your jobs you've had conflicts with your colleagues.
Sure.
Any tips or ideas on conflict resolution, and if so, has there been any positive outcome from that?
I think the biggest part when you have an issue with a colleague is to get it out in the open. When you kind of hide and let it fester and let it, you worry about it, and if you just can say, you know what, I heard you said this, or I thought this about what you did, or you know, whatever it is, that if you can say, oh, I didn't mean it like that, you know, most of the time the conflict is probably not really that big of a deal. You're making it more of a big deal than it really is. So the biggest thing is to not hide behind it and get it out there in the open, and you know, hold yourself and other people accountable for their actions. And because of that, I think you have a more positive relationship and better team building or teamwork whenever you're not hiding behind emotions and feelings that maybe aren't even really there.
Yes, attack it before it escalates, right? So talking about professionalism, or talking, you know, whether you work in the hospital or now that you work as a teacher, do you think that at some point you're crossing the boundaries if you are accessing social media while at work?
I personally do not access social media when I'm at work. The only reason I would access it is because it is a good platform to get information out there, so I have accessed it for work. You know, to put pictures or something that was going to help my job or help promote the school or my business or something like that. But if you're just sitting at work and you're on social media worrying about what so-and-so is doing, then you're not being productive at work. So I don't think that it's not necessary to do your job. Then there's no reason that you should be on it, unless you're just going to do something that's going to help you at work.
At work. I know you mentioned earlier about companies having the family picnics, right? Where I used to work, they also used to have team leadership trainings. Your employer at this moment where you work at, do they encourage group and collaboration trainings? Do they provide?
Definitely. You know, even in medicine or teaching or whatever, you can't do it alone. So we have a lot of teams and group work here at our school. We collaborate within our courses to make sure that our courses are the same across all teachers, to make sure that we're collaborating as that team. And then we're also collaborating in bigger teams where, you know, maybe we'll work with different departments to whatever is best for the students. For example, I put in some anatomy into some classes that I teach in health science in a lower level than was necessary in the 9th grade level, because biology needed that for their end of course exam, and they were struggling to fit it in. But they came to me and said they were struggling. I said, okay, let's do it and help them out. So we definitely collaborate at our school with all around the place, and up and down and across.
Up and down. And those are the future people that are going to be taking care of us. So they're getting very well trained. I'm sure by all the background that you have held some leadership positions. Having those positions, have there been positive outcomes, or is there any tips or ideas that you can leave for other people to be successful as you have in your leadership?
Thank you. I am the department leader for the health science department here at our school. We have 20 members of this team, so it is a lot.
Yes.
Delegate if you can, but again, you have to go back to people that you trust to know that they're going to do the activities or whatever it is that you have asked them to do. Try not to micromanage. You know, every little thing that someone does you can't oversee it again and again and again. You have to trust your team. You have to trust your team. And if you don't trust your team, then there's an issue, and that's what you have to get down to why is there no trust? Is the trust not there because they've hurt you in the past? They didn't fulfill their obligation at some point? You know, what is the reason why you don't want them to help you out for whatever reason? But I really believe that encouraging people also to want to do their job and to want to do the things that, you know, having them see the reason why we're doing this. You know, maybe, I mean, every job has, it's work for a reason, right? So, you know, not everything's fun and games, but, you know, everything has to get done. So if you can explain to them, besides just saying, hey, I need you to do this, okay, I need you to do this because blah, 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 then okay, well, now I understand that you're not just throwing things at me. So that helps too. meeting in groups and informally helps. And then you have to, of course, meet formally as well. But I think that doing a little bit of both, and kind of when you meet informally, people are more willing to talk to you about what's happening and, get the real issues or whatever that's going on within the group dynamics. And then maybe you find out things you don't really want to know, but, at least you get to bring it, to light and take care of those issues so that the team can continue to work together.
And one of the last questions that I have for you, on a professional level, who do you consider your hero and why?
Okay, this is going to sound corny, but I have to say my mom. Because my mom has taught for 45 years, and she goes back every year with a very good attitude. I'm going to do it again and again. I'm like, how can you do this for 45 years? I've done it for 10. But I believe that the way that she has this positive outlook that every year is brand new and fresh, and in her mind, there's no other job like it. I mean, there's no other job that you just get to start over every year with a new group of kids or patients or whatever it is, and you can be a whole different person if you want to be a whole different person this next year. This group of students don't know you, so for me, she's definitely my role model because she's taught me everything that I've learned has come from her.
Very good. Well, thank you very much for your interview. I really appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.